Hey, welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time finding me, my name is Gerard. Today we're talking about fragrances, more specifically the 7 that I wore every single day last week. So if that's content you want to see more of, be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you're updated whenever I upload something new. And don't forget to hit that hype button, it helps. Let's not waste any time, let's jump into it, starting with Sunday. Guys, this week's theme is samples. I need to start testing more of the samples that I have in my collection, and I find that if I do this theme periodically for the channel, it helps me test those. Just wear them and put them through their paces. The scent that I reached for Sunday is one that I've actually tried before. I've owned before, and I really enjoy it, but I haven't had it in the collection for a while, so I wanted to wear it. And this, no point holding it up because it's just a sample, but it is Prada L'Homme. What I love about this fragrance is its straightforward simplicity, how classy it is, clean, easy to wear to the office, school, on a date. It's super versatile. And there's a reason why this was hyped so hard for so long, because it's effortless. It's just one, if you had one in your entire collection, it's gonna work. I love the soapiness to this. The iris is really easygoing. It's nothing harsh or overwhelming. If you're even not a fan of iris, it's not the dry, powdery, lipsticky type of iris. Sometimes when people smell iris, they think it smells too much like makeup. I personally don't have that scent association. I've talked about it on the channel before. I don't think of a makeup bag or my mom's makeup bag when I was a kid. I just don't have that scent association with it. So it's never been really anything to me, like a turnoff or anything. But Prada L'Homme, guys, it is an absolutely amazing fragrance still to this day. And one that I probably should eventually add to the collection. Prada L'Homme. On Monday, I reached for Galloway from Parfum Spot. Now, this is an interesting scent, and one that when I first sprayed it, I was like, wow, that's really, really nice. Great citrus scent, mix of citruses, some pepper, a little bit spicy, musky, slightly powdery. But as the scent evolved, it stayed pretty linear for me. It didn't change much. And not that it didn't smell good. You know, it's a pleasant scent, and I think it's going to work for most guys. It just was nothing super interesting. It kind of was uninspired and pretty good longevity. I mean, for a citrus fragrance, it stuck around for a while. It just wasn't one that I think justifies paying what they're asking for it. The main thing I get as this dried down was the orange blossom, which, look, I like orange blossom. It just, again, was sort of uninspired to me. It fell a little flat and just wasn't anything too exciting. I know there's an iris note in here. I wish that stood out a bit more. It just doesn't. Again, if you are really into citrus, peppery fragrances, you're probably going to like this, but there are others on the market that smell similar. I guess the one thing that I really liked about this fragrance was its nod to some of the others from Parfum Spot. I picked up maybe a little bit of Sedley. There's a little hint of Greenlee, some of the powderiness from Pegasus. You know, there's little elements of other PDM fragrances subtly nodding their head in this fragrance, which I appreciated. But again, it just never felt like it had its own identity. PDM, Galloway. Scent I reached for on Tuesday is Nashane's Cologne, and amazing scent. Absolutely fell in love with this. The last couple of fragrances I've tested from Nashane have been 10 out of 10s for me. Credo, I loved. Now Cologne. This is like a really long-lasting neroli. There's some orange blossom. It's citrusy. It's very clean, masculine, put together. It smells elevated, though, for the scent profile. You would think it's just kind of a basic fragrance. It will remind you of a few other things, but it does have Nashane's signature in here, and it's just a longer-lasting, better projecting version of other things. And I'm here for it. And for usually what you can find this for, I think it's reasonably priced. It is a little bit pricier, especially for a Nashane, but at the end of the day, you're getting a great performing scent that the scent profile is a 10 out of 10 if you're into, again, neroli fragrances. Summer day, you know, really elevated. You could wear this to work, but you could also wear this out on a date. It creates a really nice scent bubble, great projection, great sillage, scent trail. This checks all the boxes for me. I will absolutely be adding a bottle at some point. Nashane's Cologne. This next one is an absolute banger, and one that I absolutely need to add a bottle of. The scent we were talking about is Gucci Intense Oud. And wow, Wow. This for me, I don't know. It took me so long. Well, I mean, it was sent to me and I appreciate that, but I always knew it was a fan favorite. You guys liked it. I've seen other people talk about it, but this is one that actually lived up to the hype for me. I love how the frankincense is used here along with the oud. You have saffron, raspberry. It has this little sort of leathery undertone to it, but it goes kind of dark while still feeling mass appealing. So it does smell like a designer scent to me, but a designer scent that is teetering on the edge of niche. And I absolutely love the bottle. I wish, again, I'm going to be getting a bottle at some point, guys. It is so hard. You guys know. I mean, you really have to drill down to what it is that you want to have in the collection and what you don't. If money was no object, then, you can just buy anything, and good on you if you can do that. I can't. So, and I know a lot of you guys can't either. But at the end of the day, this is one that I definitely would get a lot of wear out of. And that's sort of how I gauge fragrances. Ones that, number one, smell different than anything else. I think that's this. This doesn't remind me quite of anything else. And I would easily wear this out to dinner with friends, more casually. It just smells like a grown man. Like you have your shit together, and it has just the right amount of sweetness. This checks every box for me as well. Love this stuff. Gucci Intense Oud. If you guys have watched my channel, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of Roja fragrances. I think they smell good. I just think they're way overpriced. This, for me, is the best Roja scent we are talking about is Burlington 1819. And what do I like about this one? Man, it's just like, it's kind of old school masculine, but with a modern twist. There's something that brings it into 2026, and it just works. On Thursday, I was doing a lot of real estate stuff. I was in the city with my wife and partner in business, and we were touring some new construction, and I was wearing a gray suit. So this is definitely dressy. It's elevated. It's one that I would wear to like a boardroom meeting, just when I'm trying to make a good first impression. Now, is it still worth that price? I think if you can find it on discount, it's probably worth it, because the other thing that stands out here is for the scent profile, which is one in other fragrances doesn't necessarily last that long. It doesn't stick around quite like this one does. This one really, really impressed me from a performance standpoint, and I appreciate that, especially for days like I wore it. I put it on early in the morning, out of the shower. I worked out that morning, got dressed for the day, and it lasted me all day long. And it was a long day. So I had meetings in the morning, showings, and then met with some clients later in the day. So yeah, it's perfect for that, and no one's going to be offended by this. You might not get a lot of compliments, but you're going to smell like you know what you're doing. Roja, Burlington 1819. All right, so this one I've tested a few times in the past, and I think I finally decided on my overall feeling about it, the same way you're talking about, is Tom Ford Noir Extreme Parfum. Now, I own the Eau de Parfum, which is one of my favorite fragrances. I love that one. I've talked about it a ton on the channel. And I really, really not wanted to, but I couldn't quite bring myself to enjoy the Parfum quite as much as I do the Eau de Parfum. And I think the main reason why is this one has just too much jasmine for me. The rose is actually less and the jasmine is turned up. And there's something about that note for me personally that just smells a little pissy. It's like, reminds me of like an 80s fragrance. And although I can appreciate a lot of the elements in here, and it is a beautiful fragrance, it smells like very high quality. Okay. It smells like a Tom Ford fragrance, but for me, it just isn't enough. It doesn't push it enough over the finish line to really want to reach for this one over my Eau de Parfum. It just won't happen. Even that Kulfi note, that beautiful, sweet, creamy Kulfi note, it's here. It's just not as pronounced. It's just not as prominent, which is why I prefer the original. Tom Ford Noir Extreme Parfum. On Saturday, I had a friend visiting from Florida. We went and grabbed a steak dinner with a couple of the guys. I reached for this one. The scent we were talking about is Cedrat Boisé Intense from Mancera. Now, much like the Tom Ford Noir Extreme Parfum, the Intense isn't necessarily a better fragrance over the original. I personally enjoy the original more, but I did grow a little bit of an appreciation for the Intense that I didn't have before. Again, I've tested this a couple times. I've done a comparison video of the two. There's just something a little bit more alive, effervescent. There's a little more pop to the OG, the Eau de Parfum. With the Intense version, it is longer lasting. There's no question. It does last a little longer. It sort of pumps off of your skin a little more in maybe the first hour or so, but then it does sit closer to the skin than even what I get from the OG Sur Droit Boisé. So you kind of have to weigh that sacrifice of performance versus, what kind of overall at the end of it is the better performing fragrance. And for me, you're sacrificing too much of the original magic for a longer lasting, closer sitting fragrance like this one. And again, there are elements that are sort of dulled down a little bit. And I think that's I don't know if that's necessarily by design, but I think when you up the oil concentration, certain elements that make the OG, the Sur Droit Boisé, so beautiful, they're not as vibrant. They're just a little cloudier. And although they just don't have that sort of personality like they did in the original. So I really do like this though. I feel like, again, it is a little longer lasting. It's a little smoother, but if that's not why I want, the first one, I kind of like the edge of the original where it's a little fuzzier, a little more synthetic smelling, but in a good way. And this kind of loses that. So some people might appreciate the smoothness of this. For me personally, it just takes away from what was charming about the OG. So, but this is a good scent for sure. You can't go wrong with either. Sur Droit Boisé Intense. That's it, guys. All 7 fragrances that I wore every single day last week. As always, would love to know what your weekly rotation was. Drop it in the comment section down below. I always love hearing what you guys are wearing. But if you like content like this, guys, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video, hit that bell notification so you're updated whenever I upload new content. But until then, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video.